Good morning, everyone. Thank you to Chairman Mike Wild for the opportunity to chair this committee in his absence. This is the Personnel Administration and Higher Education Committee. Today's date is March 6th. I'll call the meeting to order at 9:30. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the prior committee meeting? Supervisor Ito and Supervisor Mayday on the second. Comments or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Privilege of the floor. We've got quite a few supervisors and others, department people in the room. Any comments from the public before we start? Hearing none, we'll move on to the action agenda. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I did get a note from Chris Duffy. She can't make it this morning, but she wanted to inform us that they expect her successor, new president for SUNY Adirondack, will be named sometime next week. The decision now rests with the Board of Trustees at SUNY, and they've been provided a recommendation from our SUNY Adirondack Board of Trustees.
Thank you. Okay. The next item is request item to be discussed by the Human Resources Director. Is this the appropriate time, County Attorney, to do we have Jackie in the room? No.
I think it's just for tracking of vacancies.
This
Okay.
is just tracking of vacancies
Okay.
filled, so it's.
So if anyone has questions on the items in your packets, you can get together with Jackie at your convenience.
If you have questions now, I can.
Okay, yeah, if anyone has questions, the administrator can answer those questions also. Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is referral from the Criminal Justice, Public Safety and Emergency Services Committee, chaired by Supervisor Gerasi. We have individuals from the Public Defender's Office here today. If you would like to go to the podium and run us through the request, please.
Sure. So this was for usage of one of two grants that we had received from the Division of Criminal Justice Services at State. This particular grant was entitled Supplemental Aid to Defense, and had no real specific thrust to the use of it. So we discussed amongst ourselves and decided that retention was really our largest problem in our department for the last few years. And that we felt, because we had been getting feedback of people who were leaving, saying that they were leaving primarily for monetary reasons, that a marginal increase in salaries would potentially go a decent way in helping to retain those who we have, recently onboarded, as well as those who we've hired in the last couple of years, particularly in light of the assigned counsel panel rate of $158 per hour, which these attorneys can go leave our office and make by signing up for the 18B panel and doing really the same exact work. So that was our thinking in that matter, and it was a permissible use of the funds, and it is subject to a continuation of receiving these funds from the DCJS, which we have got an indication that we will continue to. Of course, we'll report as to the effectiveness of the measures and the money used in this manner.
And the public, excuse me, the public defender was here at last month's committee meeting, and all that information was articulated, and we had I think a good discussion about that amongst the committee and also members of the public. Motion to bring that to the floor, please. John, Nate, any questions or comments?
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman. Just from my learning, what happens if the grant stops being received in a few years or so? Do their salaries go down, or the county just finds the money somewhere else? Or
We left that as an item of discussion when and if that does happen, it does occur, we could discuss opportunities such as reducing the amount of positions and attorneys in our department, or reducing salaries if necessary, or finding the funding from other state grants that we could apply for. So yes, we left it open, but the main idea was that the county was not going to be held accountable for filling in that absence if that were to happen.
Anyone else? Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we, we don't like to bring salary increases anymore mid-year, but what happened with this is the grant became available right after the first of the year to use for this. So it was after we've gone through the budget process. We did not address public defender salaries to a large extent last year during the budget process because of the funding. The state has provided funding both to the DA and the public defender. In a large part, this is driven again by the 18B attorneys and the cost that we're paying for those now at $158. It's putting a little pressure on our attorney population. So we will address, we've talked to them about ways to address if the grant, and we do the same thing with the DA. They expect to receive their grant for 5 years. At that point, we'll have to have discussions about salaries and we'll make those decisions when the time comes. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions again at this point? I'll call the question. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. On to referral from Public Works Committee, and I see that Mr. Hajos with us. If you'd like to go to the podium and kind of walk us through that that request, please, Kevin.
Sorry, I didn't even have it with me.
That's fine.
I don't even know what this is.
This is on the
Item 4.
solid waste employee.
Oh, so as you all aware, we took on the task of collecting the solid waste for all the towns. We've been doing well, but we also know that it would be a bit of a learning curve for us to kind of comprehend what Waste Management or Casella or whomever else we had doing it. So we've been able to keep up with most of the pickups for the transfer stations, but the issue that we're having is this is the slow time of the year. Soon it'll be very busy, I guess, especially when all the tourists come in and all the residents who aren't normally here during the winter months. They'll be here in the summer months. So this is to add another driver position, an MEO position for the solid waste division. And what this gives me is right now I have one full-time driver and I have what we've been using as a full-time driver, but he's also the mechanic who works on all the containers when they're damaged and we need to fix them. And then I have a part-time driver. What this will allow me to do is it'll add another full-time driver. And then when the part-time driver is here, that gives me 3 drivers. When he's not, and the mechanic can work on the equipment. And then when the part-time driver is not here, the mechanic will go out and drive as well. So basically it'll give us 3 full-time drivers throughout the week.
Thank you. Motion to bring this to the floor, please. Supervisor Mayday and Supervisor E2. Questions or comments from Mr. Hajos? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. The next item, we'll be hearing from County Administrator Tafflin. It's a request to be 3 particular items. So if you'd like to run those to us, please, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 5A is a Warren County emergency closure policy. We've had a couple of closures, one last year and one this year. And we realized we were piecing together bits and pieces of various policies to grant the authority to close the county at any given time. And there are a lot of nuances about that. So we had a working group get together, thanks to the county attorney's office and the risk management office and the treasurer's office. We've worked out, I think, what we believe is a good closure policy for the county. Again, we lean towards not closing the municipal center unless it's really a serious situation, weather-wise or something else happens. But this gives us the ability, it's pretty clear on, what procedures we follow.
I just had a question on that too. Well, actually, let's a motion to okay. And the chairman on the second. Questions before I ask one? Does that also address payroll issues,
Yeah.
John? Okay,
It addresses all the payroll issues. It addresses, what we would do if we did a complete closure, what if we did a late arrival, what if we did an early departure, and all the rules associated with that.
great, thanks. We have motion and a second, so all in favor of request number A, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? So moved. On to letter B.
Item 5B, we have been wanting to do for probably 3 years. And we got good support from our union CSEA this year to help us with the reallocation of salaries for our DPW workers. As many of you know, we've talked about it over and over. Our CDL drivers are underpaid compared to neighboring counties, compared to a lot of our towns. And it's caused pressure on us to retain our drivers. And we have for several years wanted to bring our salaries more in line with what everyone else is doing in the county. Not cheap, $500,000. We have, when we go to finance, we have the money in DPW budget to cover it for this year. Basically, the schedule that you look at for 5B, roughly it amounts to about around a $1 to $1.50 average increase per hour. And then there's an additional stipend of $3 an hour for those who have CDLs. It doesn't get us to Saratoga. It doesn't get us to the town of Queensbury, but it puts us in pretty good position when you look at all the neighboring counties and what everyone else is paying for these jobs. So we appreciate the union support on this, and I think it's a pretty good result.
Thank you. Motion to bring this to the floor, Supervisor E2.
What?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to correct this. On finance, there's an item to appropriate funds for this. It's not in the DPW
From
budget.
other DPW lines.
Part of it is from the general fund.
Okay.
Some of it's from the
Correct it on.
DPW, but some of it's from county road fund unappropriated surplus, some is from road machinery, but it looks like there's 38,000 and change coming from the general fund.
Can you repeat that louder, please?
A portion of, the majority of the funds are coming from other parts, will be appropriated from other county road reserves, it looks like, but there is a portion that's coming from the general fund, which is about $38,748.
That's item 1B on the finance committee agenda. Lays it out there, right? It is 38,000 from A909.
I think I saw Supervisor E2 with the motion and Supervisor Mayday on the second. I know that in the past we've heard from Mr. Hajos about this particular issue, and I think the big word is competitiveness with neighboring communities. Any questions or comments?
I would just
Yeah.
say that this is long, we've waited to do this for up to 3 years with the union, and this is the first time we were able to have the meeting and come to some resolve, and this will help him get a stable workforce at DPW. It's,
Yeah.
it's not the top of the line, but it gets them a lot closer to what many of the municipalities are paying.
Hearing no additional questions, I'll call the questions. All in favor of request number B, say aye. Any opposed? So moved. On to request number letter C.
That's true.
Item 5C, what you see is request to nominate me to serve on the CDTA Board of Directors. We need to have a member of the Board of Directors from Warren County to represent our interest. We're going to change that nomination. As of this week, I had a discussion with our representative to the governor's office and also CDTA. And it probably isn't a good move to have the county administrator serve on the Board of Directors. We had a backup plan, and Liza Oxendorf is very well versed in our transportation challenges we have in the county, and she'll represent us well, and has support from the city of Glens Falls, from Mayor Collins, and a lot of people that I have talked to. We need to have someone who understands our initial challenges going in, I think, so they can, defend our what we want with CDTA. I think she'll be a good nomination.
Thank you. Motion, Supervisor Etu.
So this is to nominate Liza.
Liza.
Yeah, Liza.
Change her name out of here, so yes. I'll
Okay.
second.
All right.
And if I could, if we
Good.
could also just kind of append in there, subject to the approval of the majority and the minority party of the Board of Supervisors, so that the resolution that's approved by the board complies with the statute, showing that Liza would be the representative, would be the recommendation from both the Republicans and the Democrats who are currently on the Board of Supervisors. Thanks.
And what happens?
If that's agreeable as an amendment.
And then what happens with this is it passes the board with a resolution, and we'll submit that to the governor's office, and Governor Hochul has the final decision on who serves on the CDTA board.
So we don't, do we vote on that today or?
Yes.
Okay. Have we already done?
You do have a motion and a second on the floor.
Okay.
I would amend that motion to include the language that the county attorney requested.
You guys have, that's okay with you? Okay, great. Okay, so I'll call the question. All in favor of approval of 5C, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Agenda item 6, a request to be discussed by the county attorney, Larry Ellman. I'll give you the floor.
Thank you. Good morning. The first item, 6A on the agenda, is a request for a resolution to amend Resolution 497 of 2019. That was a resolution where the county created and funded an insurance reserve for Warren County to cover property and casualty losses and claims. There's a $15,000 balance in that account currently. And that account has not been used since I've been here, and I'm not sure what use occurred prior to my arrival as county attorney. But this resolution request seeks to amend the original resolution and to assist big picture in allowing the county to more proactively manage claims that are filed with Warren County. So this is all under General Municipal Law, Section 6N. And under 6N, there's a subparagraph 8, and it provides the Board of Supervisors the authority to designate an authorized person who can compromise or settle any of the actions or claims that are presented to the county. under the lines of property or casualty loss. So big picture, there's two expenses that go into the total cost the county incurs as a result of liability claims. One we all know and we see every single year, that's the premium cost that we pay to the insurance carrier for our lines of coverage. The one that historically we have not seen, have not tracked, and are not aware of as we sit here today are the out-of-pocket expenses or either the uncovered or the deductible expenses that are incurred on an annualized basis. What this proposal and amendment will do is first, it will authorize the county attorney to serve. It'll authorize the county attorney to serve as the appointed and authorized individual to settle any claims or actions on behalf of the county, not to exceed $25,000 and not to exceed any of our insurance deductibles on our policies. What this does is it provides a vehicle to quickly resolve claims and not have to present them all to our insurance carrier if we can resolve them quickly and efficiently. Second is it seeks to provide further funding to the insurance reserve that was established in 2019. And the amount would be an additional $52,786.15. That dollar amount represents the difference between what every Warren County department budgeted for an increase in insurance premiums, which was a 10% budgeted increase, and the actual increase, which was only 3.8%. We were very fortunate this year in starting our risk management programming that travelers saw and identified the improvements that were quickly occurring and aided us in not giving us a double-digit increase. So that there's $52,000 that's spread out among the various departments that was budgeted for, but is not needed because of the lower premium amount. So for this year, we're asking that $52,000 be removed from all of the different department lines. And there was tremendous help from the treasurer's department and the deputy treasurer, and I'm thankful, very thankful for assisting in that. And that money be put into the insurance reserve, which is the second part. The third part that we're seeking is that from that insurance reserve, there would be $25,000 allocated out to a specific property and casualty deductible insurance line for DPW and for the sheriff's office. The majority of the claims that we would be looking to adjust quickly are small claims and claims within the deductible. Almost always those involve automobile claims or property damage claims of a small nature. So by seeding from the insurance reserve into DPW and the sheriff's office, $25,000 each, it gives us a pool of money that will be available to quickly resolve and pay any claims that are presented to the county for property loss, either property or casualty loss during 2025. Should any of those funds not be used by the end of the year for a 2025 claim, they would automatically flow back into the insurance reserve for use in future years. So I took a little time to kind of walk through the different pieces of this. Big picture is it's going to create a more responsive environment for us to resolve claims quickly, which will assist us, I believe, greatly in reducing the number of claims that we must present to our insurance carrier, which will have the longer term effect of bringing down future increases in our premiums. across the county. Does anyone have any questions? Hopefully that I can answer.
Go ahead.
So if there's a settlement reached and we want to pay $18,000 we agree to, will that come to the Personnel Committee, Finance Committee from now on if this was approved, or because it's under 25,000, will we discuss it, be notified, anything like that?
A key part of the resolution is 60 days of any payment being issued of these funds. And these funds are very special funds under the statute. That the county attorney will report that to this committee. So it'll be on, and I did 60 days just for timing purposes. With the way agendas go in, it's good to have just a little bit of a grace period. Hopefully it would be at the next committee meeting, but if something falls kind of in that gray zone, it would be the following committee. But all claims will be reported. But most importantly, it's actually going to be a budget line now.
Mhm.
So if we can stick to it, we're going to get a much clearer picture of what our actual expenses are, which means we can actually start over a period of time budgeting for those expenses rather than having them be a surprise or dealt with by the departments out of their existing budgets in a way that we can't really track, see, or identify. So that's kind of I hope that answers the question.
Yep, thank you. Yep.
Any other
No,
questions?
that was my point. I was gonna ask, how
Yeah.
is it going to be replenished, if there was gonna be budget?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
my hope is that those funds it's not gonna resolve every claim. It's, it's a good starting step. I don't want to call it a baby step because it is a big step, I think. I would hope that $25,000, some portion of it will be left by the end of the year, but I honestly can't tell you because I can't look at 24 or 23 or 22 or 21 to give some kind of educated estimate as to what the expense looks like in this current year. That'll change as we go forward, if this is approved.
A motion to bring 6A to the floor, please. Supervisor Bean and Supervisor Mayday on the second. Additional questions or comments, the attorney? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor of approval of 6A, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. On to number B.
Item 6B is the second step, which is the transfer and approval of transfer of funds from the various budget lines on the attached schedule in the amount of $52,786.15 into the insurance reserve fund.
Supervisor Ito and Supervisor Mayday on the second. Questions or comments? Hearing none, kind of goes in line with letter A. I'll call the question. All in favor of approval of 6B, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Next on the agenda is discussion items, and I would ask the committee and request a motion to enter into executive session. But I'd like to enter into executive session for 6C and 6D. 6A has to do with 2 personnel matters involving the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or persons, or to provide attorney-client communications to members of the committee per Public Officers Law 108, subparagraph 3. And I would ask for that portion for the first personnel matter that the superintendent of DPW be permitted to stay, and that for the entire discussion, the director of human resources and the county risk manager be authorized to stay as well. And the second half would be for a litigation update. The litigation update, it will be a quick update for matters that are 6D1, C, and E, 6D2, C, 6D, 3B, which is an administrative complaint, will be a little more detailed.
We have a motion to go in executive session. Supervisor, Bean and Supervisor, Mayday in the second. All in favor of going into an executive session? Say aye. Any opposed? We're into an